that that is Fedosiev's best chance here? Try to get as much chaos in?
Well, I think for Fedoseev, he is a combative player by nature, but it can backfire. And look at this. He plays the Petrov defense from the black side, which I think is a good choice against Magnus, because Magnus Carlsen is the better player. That's clear. But what Fedoseev, where he can backfire, is just like against Alireza Firouzja. In that fourth game, he was lost, right? He was down a couple pawns, but in the time scramble is where he was able to shine. So I think that Fedoseev, he needs to keep the games going. Magnus is a brilliant speed chess player. He's won the speed chess championship. He made it to the finals of the bullet chess championship, but that's where he has the most opportunity to go wrong, late stage of the game when you don't have enough time. So I think that Fedoseev, he chose a wise opening in game one.
We would have laughed them out of chess. We would have told them, this isn't the game for you. You know, you're too timid. It's all about placing the pieces on their best squares. Yes, the queens have gone. I guess Magnus is simply arguing that there's enough forces, there's enough of his army left.
I think players, they think, let's go for that. But against Magnus Carlsen, it's a totally different game.
So it's something that you need to take care of immediately. He falls back with the bishop. And yes, the queens are off the board, but the gloves are still on, because I think the players want to still fight it out. Magnus, we've seen him do crazy things in the end game. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a slow one, but we've got a game on our hands. It's far from over when you're playing against Magnus. I think it only gets scarier when the queens are off.
Equal play. Yeah, it's just about whether Magnus can exert that magic a bit later.
Start for both of these games, both matches. I think they're just settling in without creating any major threats.
Stopping that white pawn from moving forward on the left side of our screen. Play that I've seen. I've seen it in the tour season last year. I've seen it in the Chessable Masters so far this year. The queen has attacked. That needs to find a good square. He's 17, and it's just amazing to hear him talk, and his play is a true reflection of his personality, I think.
He worked this endgame magic we've been talking about, this queenless middle game, we'll call it. And here, I've got to say, first glance, I like white, purely because of this knight that he's just installed on the c6 square. But black has reasons to be optimistic too, Robert.
Yeah, this is a position where it resembles the other game in that white has the pair of bishops. That's not actually a bad thing at this stage of the game. With so many pieces remaining on the board, white can go after some of black's targets, and black is not creating a pass pawn.
What's going on here? Whoa. That's going on here. That's what's going on here.
Oh, we didn't expect that. And again, the blue arrow indicating that black's only move, or at least by far the best move, is rook takes bishop. But now you have to be careful. If pawn takes, suddenly a deadly check, and your bishop will simply drop off next move. So Magnus initiating the tactics. Let's just show what he... Okay, he's played pawn takes pawn. He needed to play rook takes bishop and basically admit that, okay, if rook takes, there are tricks in black's favor this time with a nice pin. But pawn takes pawn, Robert, do you think this is going to backfire? Fedoseev playing that move instantly.
Because now that knight on d7, if it continues to move, say to e5, well, oh, and he does it a move too late to Fedoseev. The right idea, wrong move order. I still feel like he has chances to survive this game, but to what end? What light squares are actually valuable? That's an essential question. So I like the way that Fedoseev is handling this. I think this gives him the best practical chances.
Still requires a bit of prep. Right now, I'm expecting Fedoseev to move his knight. He does it. Knight to b6. The eval bar hits it. And Magnus just continues to keep opening up the position. The lines for the bishops and the lines for the rooks and the diagonals for the bishops.
What he could have done instead, and it was just a one-move play from Fedoseev that would have kept him in the game rather than opening the rooks up. Bishop to g3, just trying to blockade this d-pawn so the rooks don't have open files. When you're down material, especially when your opponent has two rooks, just one for yourself, you need to keep those rooks contained. So this would have been a good choice. Instead, what we see in the game, the rooks are loose, they are free to roam about the board, and now one of them is off the board, and that's bad news for black because that a5 pawn is tender, the d file remains open. Black can't keep everything under his control, and Magnus Carlsen for sure is winning this first game, David.
100%. It's all about that target on a5, pretty much indefensible in the kind of short term, and this white a pawn, not only does it promote on a light square guided by your bishop, but it's pretty much unstoppable. You have no rooks left as black. Yeah, knights are terrible at stopping these corner pawns, these rook pawns. So once the white knight retreats, takes this pawn, it's a matter of time before Fedoseev has to resign. We saw him sit back, exhale a moment ago. He knows it's over. The white rook doesn't look impressive now, but it will soon join the fun. And I think we'll see a very simple plan. Black's counterplay far too slow. And Magnus, he's going pawn hunting. He's going to hunt down the full point in this game soon, closing out the victory. Again, just in the space of 1 or 2 moves, this is how strong the top players are. They punish you, one small imperceptible slip, and here we go. Knight takes pawn, inevitable. It's just a straightforward plan. Magnus about to bank it. We think, Tanya, shall we go to the other game where there's still action on the board?
Definitely. I just want to say this is how strong Magnus Carlsen can be, especially in these positions. I mean, we were talking about an equal opening, an outcome where White had nothing. And then just out of nowhere, Magnus comes up with a winning position. How did it happen? When did it all go so wrong? It's just unbelievable how he makes these things just appear on the board and makes chess look so easy. It's insane. He's playing against one of the best players in the world. He has a completely winning position out of a completely equal opening. Magnus Carlsen just doing Magnus things. I think it's a good time, David, to jump over to our other board, which is it's an exciting middle game. Robert, what do you make of what we're seeing on the left side of our screen between Denis Lazovic and Jose Martinez?
It's definitely heating up on the left-hand side board because there are open diagonals for both players. Usually, open space, it is good for the player with the pair of bishops as Jose Martinez. His camera's on the bottom left-hand side of our screen. But Denis Lazovic, he just doesn't back down against anyone. It's super impressive. The game between Magnus and Fedoseev is officially over. No surprises there. Magnus takes game 1.